Well, it's Sunday in wonderful Ohio, and it's snowing like a fuck. I don't know how much fuck snow, but it is snowing a lot out there. So, for the last few days, I've been on sort of, I guess you'd say, a cops and robbers kick. Some of this stuff is pretty intense that I got to write it down because first film was the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, directed by Roger Corman. And this was out in '67, and I can remember cutting school to see it as usual. And this one, number one, I think this was Roger's first film outside of AIP, and he brought it in under budget. And Jason Robards was cast as Al Capone, and he has it really down. I mean, he's probably the best Al Capone I've ever seen in all the years of watching Al Capone movies. So, the cast is unbelievable. George Segal is Peter Gusenberg, one of Bugs Moran's men. Ralph Meeker is Bugs Moran. Clint Ritchie is Machine Gun Jack McGurn. See, this is all done like the way it actually was out there. And I was a big, crime buff back when I was growing up, which basically played against me in school because they thought I was going to be a criminal. Well, guess what? It worked out anyway. But anyway, this cast is insane. Again, Frank Silvera as Nick Sorello. And Frank Silvera was one of those character actors that defied description because you never knew his ethnic origin because he would play Italians, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans. But his ethnic, he was actually Jamaican. And he actually taught acting, and unfortunately he was killed when he was electrocuted installing a garbage disposal, of all things. Bruce Stern is John May, the mechanic for the gang. Joe Turkel is Jake Greasy Thumb Guzik, the accountant. John Agar shows up as Dion Albanian. Tom Reese, a veteran heavy, is Ted Newberry, one of Bugs Moran's bodyguards who doesn't get killed. Alex D'Arcy from Blood of Dracula's Castle is Joe Aiello, who gets his throat slit by Capone. Reed Hadley is Jaime Weiss. And Leo Gordon is Mike the Pike Hitler. And the weird thing is, it's really cool that Corman did this because he basically snuck in all the guys from his stock company. Dick Miller and Jonathan Hayes play gangsters dressed as fake cops for the massacre. Betsy Jones Moreland is a reporter interviewing Al Capone. Barbara Morris is the one who discovers all the dead gangsters. And Jack Nicholson sneaks in there, and he has one line, something about putting garlic on. They're putting garlic on the bullets because if you don't kill them with the bullets, they'll die from blood poisoning. So, yeah, really good film, and they did a really great timeline with it because, they had a narrator. I can't remember the guy's name, but he's pretty famous. He's done a lot of narration. And they just timed it out until, the massacre, and they had all the actors fall into positions based on the photo of the corpses in the massacre. And two of the actors actually bumped into each other while they were falling and landed in the same positions as the victims. So they went on to the whole thing about how everybody connected with it eventually. Frank Nitti committed suicide with his own gun. Jack McGurn was rubbed out. The two fake cops were taken out. Everybody connected with it was killed. Then, of course, they went down to, Al Capone was, arrested for income tax evasion. That's all they could get him on. And he died as a result of in prison. I think he lost his mind because he had syphilis. So, yeah, really cool movie. Like I said, great cast, great nostalgia seeing all these old faces in there too. And you'll see a bunch of other people too. So yeah, definitely worth a look. St. Valentine's Day Massacre, probably out on Blu-ray. I think probably Shout Factory would have it because they pretty much own all the Corman stuff. But the next one we did was the new Centurions from 1972. And the next one, The Choir Boys, are based on books by Joseph Wumbaugh, who was a former police officer. And there's a sort of a similarity between the two films because George C. Scott plays this, veteran police officer, married to the job, always doing the right thing, yada yada. Well, Charles Durning plays Sperm Whale Whelan in the Choir Boys, who's basically a misfit, never been promoted, um, takes care of business, ain't looking to do favors, and has pretty much got, like, I think 20 days until he retires. And he's bumping heads with somebody, but I'll get to that in a few. The cast for the new Centurions was not only George C. Scott, but Stacy Keach, um, Jane Alexander, Clifton James, James B. Sinking, Isabel Sanford, Ed Lauder, William Athern, and Carol Speed. And, oh my God, why am I having a brain fart on this? I don't know why I'm having a brain fart, but anyway, Keach is assigned to Scott, as he's going to be, trained by him, and there's some really cool stuff going on where they're on the Hooker patrol. They got a Hooker wagon, and Scott says, "My rule is I do one pass, and if they don't get the hint, then we lock them up." And they're putting the hookers in the thing, and one hooker turns around and she goes, "You can't treat us like this. We is motherfucking ladies." So he basically takes up a collection and buys them a quart of scotch and a quart of milk, and they sit in the back and drink scotch and milk and talk about their tricks. He retires, and like I said, he's married to the job. He went to live with his daughter, but that didn't work. He comes back. He's trying to talk to Stacy Keach, and Keach, don't have time right now, but this and that and the other thing, and the Scott character commits suicide. Prior to that, there was a liquor store holdup where Keach tried to shoo some people out of the way, but they were involved in the holdup and blew him away with a shotgun, so he spent time in the hospital. His wife left him. He was nursed back to health by, what the hell was her name now? Why am I having a brain fart on this? Rosalind Cash was a nurse, and she nursed him back to health, and they were going to have a relationship, only he gets shot and dies at the end. Scott Wilson is the other cop. I'm sorry, like I said, I had a brain fart, and basically he dies in Scott Wilson's arms. Keach and Wilson became very close friends after this film. And Rosalind Cash, well, I'm going to get to her shortly because I think we're coming up on Black History Month, and what I'd like to do is dig up some of the actors and actresses that don't have the big, star in their eyes, like, Jim Brown, Fred Williamson, and people like that, because they've been talked about to death. I'm going to see if I can dig up some stuff on some other people who made these films fun. So, yeah. Then we go to the Choir Boys, which, now, get this cast. Charles Durning, Lou Gossett Jr., Perry King, Clyde Casuta, Randy Quaid, Don Stroud, Burt Young, James Woods, Cheryl Smith, Phyllis Davis, Vic Tayback, Claire Brennan from She Freak, John Stedman from The Hills Have Eyes, Jim Winburn, who I believe was one of the Michael Myers players, Robert Webber, Jeannie Bell, Charles Hayde, Renko from I guess he honed his little role there because he was Renko in Hill Street Blues. Blair Brown, Jim Davis, Vic Tayback, and it was directed by Robert Aldrich. And they call it the Choir Boys because after work these guys go out and get shit-faced drunk and all kinds of things happen. It's a pretty interesting thing. It's both, sometimes it's humorous, sometimes it's tragic. The Perry King character is a cop who gets caught when they raid this bondage apartment, and Don Stroud tries to cover for him, but he goes home and commits suicide. Stroud is a Vietnam veteran who's claustrophobic, and the problem arises that he gets drunk or something. They're all drunk, and they got a van or something, and they make the mistake of locking him in the back of the van where he goes flashback to Vietnam, and this kid opens the door of the van, this kid who has been arrested for cruising the park, and winds up getting blown away. So now they got to cover it up, and Sperm Whale Whalen says, "I'll take the hit for it." But he gets called in, and basically Robert Webber is a superior, and Robert Webber can play a scumbag really good, and he does in this thing. But he takes the fall for the whole thing, and then they go back and straighten it out and basically leave Webber holding the bag. I mean, really great film, really great casts, and these played well when I saw them, and I basically saw them in grindhouses because, the appeal of the whole thing, and New Centurions sort of had like a little black exploitation feel to it in certain scenes. So, definitely three worth seeking out and checking out if you haven't seen them. And that's our show for today. So this is 42nd Street Pete, thanking the new subscribers that are all hooked up with this thing, and all you my old fans there. And shout out to my friend in Poughkeepsie for hooking me up with some primo herb. And we'll catch you on the rebound. So until then, stay safe and have a great one.